Hi everyone, hope you're well. Please forgive my voice. I went out last night with my girlfriends and they started playing 80s music and we all started singing along. Sorry about that. I said today that I was going to do a reading from the book. I'm going to continue from where I left off last time. This is chapter 2. In the beginning was the where, and the last line was, when I lost my singing voice, what I really lost was myself, my truest self. Everybody's sitting down. My grandmother used to do this. She used to read to us, or she used to rather tell us stories, and we'd all sit in a circle. So storytelling is like this really fun thing in our family. So I hope you like this. Okay, I'll try and do these if you'd like this, and I'll try to do them on a regular basis. To unpack this puzzle, I first have to explain what the voice is, a concept so rich and varied that it hardly makes sense to use one word for all its dimensions. But let's start with the phrase, my voice, as in, I lost my voice. This phrase is so common, I'm sure you feel you have a clear sense of its meaning. But it's in fact riddled with hidden complication. The word my is a possessive determiner, so it denotes something that can be owned. Applied to the voice, it means that it's possible to take ownership of this thing, my voice, enough that it can exist independently of myself, and that I have some authority over its use. It is not me, it is mine, my toy. This is already highly problematic. I imagine it's similar to how parents feel about their children. My kids, insofar as I made them, but they're not my property, except they are my property because they're mine. The philosophy of language is very complicated, but allow me to simplify. To what is the my referring? In my body, but otherwise free? Is it just a sound maker that you play like a multifaceted trombone? We don't choose our voices. We are born with them, but we can choose how to use them and we can train them to do what we want. The voice of my intentions? The vocal instrument that generates sound goes like this. Air into mouth via lungs into diaphragm, up through larynx or voice box through the vocal folds that vibrate, then distributed around the head's resonating chambers, the head, sinus and nose, until finally it comes out of the mouth. Officially, that's the voice. Except it's not. We all sound different. Doesn't the tone of somebody's voice reveal something specific about their character, age, experience, and inner world? Isn't it highly expressive and variable from person to person? Why can some singers make you cry and others make you wish that you could leave the room? Sarah Vaughan, for example, and my brother corrected me on this because he did not agree with what I'm about to say, so you can have a think about this. Sarah Vaughan had the power to hypnotize audiences by singing a cappella, but I imagine we've all been to gigs where the singer did not have exactly that effect. One of the questions that I did ask when I was doing the research for this book actually was, who do you think is the truest of all the singers? And it was so fascinating because the answers were nothing like I was expecting. Etymologically, the word voice comes from the Latin vox, itself from the Proto-Indo-European wek-way, I think you pronounce that. And its meaning has spanned a number of incantations to include speech, word, cry, call, and language. But from the 14th century onwards, it also came to be associated with the collective spirit of a group, as in the voice of the people. We use this phrase all the time, and it's only from the 14th century. Up until that point, that wasn't an expression. You didn't say the collective voice of a people. It didn't exist. And isn't it interesting that we use the word voice to describe that phenomenon? Why voice? Referencing an ethereal property rather than a sound. It's the same metaphoric quality that we think of when victims of abuse are said to lose their voices. a reference more to broken spirit than broken vocal ability, and the same again when we talk about finding our voice in life. Though the word refers to the immediate sound that comes out of our mouths, it encompasses broader meaning, such as psyche or soul, which is not usually thought of as a sound. Now it gets really interesting. If we look at the biological anatomy of the human voice, this picture begins to make more sense, but also less, because the voice is inextricably tied to other aspects of the living organism that have nothing to do with communication. The most deeply rooted locus of human vocalization occurs as a part of a network of neurological pathways that are spread out at various points in the brain, called the reticular formation. This is a set of brainstem nuclei that coordinates the voice, as well as several other aspects not usually associated with sound, two of which are arousal, such as when we face danger or threat, and awareness, a capacity that might be thought of as a prequel to consciousness. This means that when the voice sparks into action in the brain, the centers of arousal and awareness are also triggered, because these primal engines of human life spark together. Admittedly, the brain is very mysterious, and the results of contemporary methods of exploring it are not certain, but given the temporal simultaneity of these three activities, we might say they could be thought of as having existential affiliation because they occur together. This positions voicing as being tied to the core activity of a living being, even though we tend not to think of voicing as being primary to life, as physical safety or early consciousness. I did have 3 different neuroscientists fact check that section for me, and because the voice is so, brain scans and the various technologies that they use to discover the voice and the brain more generally are not 100%. It's a very, very unknown method of exploring the brain, and also that the brain itself is so difficult to kind of fathom. So in terms of certainty, it was quite difficult to make these inferences because I had to say what was possible to say without saying anything that wasn't possible to say. But anyway, isn't that fascinating that the voice, we use this word all the time, and when I say I lost my voice, you just think, oh, right, okay, what happened? Did you stop being able to speak, or what happened? And when I was writing this and exploring what happened, because I had to find out, it was all these crazy things that I discovered that, the voice in the brain is tied to other centers that control arousal, like when you're scared, like when an animal is scared, they get aroused. And awareness, which is just before consciousness. Why? Why the voice? And they're all kind of really closely connected in the brain. It goes on like this. So I really dug in to the roots of the voice in lots of different ways, how we use the word and what it means, as I was exploring the story of how I lost my voice. So that's your reading for today. I hope you find that interesting. And I'll just keep going. Have a great day. Bye.